We may have our first real update about the MCU Fantastic Four. Holy Mother of God, let's break this down. What's up, everybody? It's Josh. Welcome back to the channel. Smash that like button and let's get right into this story. This is coming from Charles Murphy, one of the best Marvel insiders and scoopers in the game. I'm going to read right from this article on murphysmultiverse.com a little bit and then try to explain what Charles is getting at. This may well be the first actual update that we have in regards to the MCU Fantastic Four. So it says here, last week, Disney registered two new production companies, Solve Everything Productions and Grass Fed Productions. On the surface, there's not much to be excited about, as this is a pretty run-of-the-mill procedure for the world's largest entertainment studio. However, looking at the surface isn't what we do here, and a deeper look into these two newly registered production companies has stirred up some exciting possibilities about some potential future MCU projects. Now, Charles goes on to talk about how there's no evidence to confirm that either of these production companies were set for Marvel Studios. He has tried very hard contacting different sources and just trying to get a confirmation. He hasn't got a confirmation that he is happy with. However, he said that papers have been filed for production companies for every project announced last summer by Marvel Studios, either at SDCC or D23, with the exception of two, Fantastic Four and Blade. Now, real quick, what he is talking about here is that Blade and Fantastic Four were literally mentioned by name last year at San Diego Comic-Con. Feige came out and said, we didn't have enough time to talk about the Fantastic Four. We didn't have enough time to talk really about Blade, but he did introduce Mahershala Ali. Now, I would counter to Charles just a little bit here because X-Men is also something that was announced last year, but there's no sign of that anywhere as well, so maybe that can be added to the mix also. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Charles says that if you follow Jonathan Hickman's career, the phrase solve everything points in one very specific direction. That is of Marvel's first family, the Fantastic Four. In October of 2008, Hickman launched his run on Fantastic Four with a 3-issue arc, issues number 570 to 572, titled Solve Everything. The story, which began in earnest earlier that year with Dark Reign Fantastic Four, sees a guilt-ridden Reed building a machine called the Bridge, which allows him to observe the multiverse in search of solutions to the problems for which he feels responsible. Now, eventually he's going to take that bridge down, but before he takes the bridge down, he is made aware of other such bridges created in other dimensions by different versions of Reed Richards, and this actually leads into the Council of Reed's storyline. Eventually, Reed fires the bridge back up. He meets the Council of Reeds again and asks them how to solve his 101st question: how to solve everything. I'm putting a panel up here, but yeah, it's pretty clear that how to solve everything is a huge hint towards the Fantastic Four. Now, the other production company, the Grass Fed Productions, is a little less clear. He speculates that it could be Blade because in a lot of stories about vampires and Blade, human beings are treated like cattle for the vampires, and so maybe Grass Fed is sort of a tie-in to that, but it could also be tying into the Skrulls. He mentioned Secret Invasion, and this was because some of the Skrulls in Secret Invasion actually just showed up as cows. They literally became cows after being discovered, and they were hiding as cows as to not be discovered. Maybe that's a connection there. I certainly think that Blade stuff should be going into production semi-soon, especially if it's going to hit a 2023-2024 date. But the thing I really want to talk about here is the Fantastic Four. And so, just to clarify, before we get into speculation, production companies are created on a film-by-film basis. Each film in Hollywood gets its own production company, its own LLC. It runs everything through that production company. Production companies are made for different movies. There is literally a production company for every single Marvel project that was announced officially last year, except a few, one of them being the Fantastic Four. And the fact that Solve Everything Productions seems to tie in to a huge part of the Jonathan Hickman Fantastic Four run is suggesting to Charles that that is what that project is for. So what does this mean? Why do I believe this? What's the dilly-dally here? Well, number one, it seems like a pretty safe bet because of the inclusion of Jonathan Hickman. Hickman. Jonathan Hickman's stuff has been mined heavily by the MCU. Feige is aware, or at least there are people within that team are aware, that Jonathan Hickman's storytelling in comics is ripe for adaptation in the MCU. It's just really good stuff. It makes sense. His stuff has been used in the MCU before. Another reason that I believe this is the fact that we have heard over and over again that Fantastic Four is a higher priority for Marvel than the X-Men currently. The biggest bomb of 2019 was an X-Men movie, and the Fantastic Four bombed before that. But the logic for the studio, and this is a prevailing Hollywood way of thinking, is that it's been long enough for the Fantastic Four for people to be over that, to not be associated with all that bad stuff. Therefore, Marvel feels comfortable doing Fantastic Four again. That's not the same with X-Men. They might want X-Men to lie low for a little bit, start to rebuild that brand strength up again, and then eventually introduce their own thing. Fantastic Four is what the priority is for Marvel Studios, so them making this production company at this time tracks. Another reason that you could believe this is that we have heard so many rumors about John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, that whole situation going down, and the fact that Feige is interested in having those guys in as Marvel's first family. It just all tracks as far as timing is concerned. And now let's really go to speculation town. Take my hand, we're getting real sweaty with this. One of the reasons I absolutely love this is because there is potential here to explain where Reed Richards has been, if he has been with the Council of Reeds working on a separate problem. Wouldn't it be fascinating if Reed Richards from our universe was actually with other Reeds trying to figure out the problem of Thanos, but also a much bigger potential problem created by the initial snap? Like, what if he was there the whole time, but just existed on a separate plane of existence? I also just generally love the idea of the Council of Reeds, and it's such a refreshing thing to do. Like, Marvel is always trying to do their own take on things. I don't think they necessarily need to do an origin for the Fantastic Four again. They can do what they did with Spider-Man. So in the Spider-Man for the MCU, Uncle Ben is barely mentioned. We don't talk about Uncle Ben. He just is Spider-Man. We just jump into it, right? And so Marvel has that ability, and it looks like they're interested in doing that. If they were to do a scenario with Reed Richards in the Fantastic Four that circles around the Council of Reeds, that's such an interesting way to introduce that character into the MCU. And of course, this can tie directly into Secret Wars, which I continue to champion as what I believe to be Marvel's big plan. This is their next Thanos level event. I think it's going to go in that direction, and introducing the Council of Reeds that are working on a massive problem together. Well, what could that massive problem be? It could be the collapsing of the multiverse, which was in part created due to the events of Avengers Endgame. It's just lining up with everything we've been talking about. It's absolutely epic. It would be unique compared to what Fox did. It's scratching all my itches. Please, God, let this be true. I'm so excited if we're actually going to be getting the Fantastic Four with John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, and we're going to do the Council of Reeds leading up to Secret Wars. Oh my God. But of course, let us know what you think about this report and about the speculation in the comment section below. And now let's shout out Dapper Noodles. Yes, indeed, it was the TIE silencer that Kylo Ren rode around in The Last Jedi. And now let's ask another nerd card question before we get out of here. I want to know how close you've been paying attention to the Marvel rumor mill. What X-Men character was Shia LaBeouf rumored to be playing, according to Twitter? If you like this video, make sure you like it. And if you're enjoying the content over here, you will absolutely love the live streams we do every day, Monday through Friday, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time over on our live streaming channel. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.